Now inside the church that you will visit if you come here to Tumacacori. This church was actually built in beginning in 1800, but under the guidance of Franciscan priests. I mentioned that Kino, Father Kino, who was the first priest to come here, was a Jesuit priest. And the Jesuits were removed and Franciscans were brought in. And so by the time this church was being built by the community, it was under the guidance of Franciscan priests. Inside this church, there are niches in the walls, and those are the places where the saint statues would have been placed. And if you come here to the park now, you can see our very recently redone museum. We have some beautiful dioramas in there that date back to the 1930s, but around those dioramas you'll see a completely redone museum. But in there you will find 6 santos, saint statues, 6 santos that would have originally stood in these niches in this church. Sometime after, not too long after it was abandoned, somebody decided they needed the beams and removed the roof, so it was exposed to the weather for until the 1920s, when a roof was put back on it. So a lot of weathering has happened. Whenever you have a structure sitting in the middle of the countryside with nothing around and it's abandoned, of course everybody assumes there has to be treasure. We've had people digging up the floor for all kinds of reasons in the past. The floor is a reproduction, a replacement floor because it was gone. Some holes in the walls, things like that also because of that. But you can see on the plaster where the Stations of the Cross were, some other decorative elements. We have displays, artists' conceptions that are accurate to what we know was in here, which is basically the geometrical patterns. We don't know everything that was on the wall. When you go up into the sanctuary at the front of the church, that is where you find the most original paint. And that's because the dome over the sanctuary has remained intact. And we work very hard to keep that dome in good condition and intact and keep moisture out to protect the paint and the plasters up there, which are entirely original. Up here in front of the church is a unique feature that a lot of people will ask us about, and it is obviously not original to the church. But this cross is something that we have had in the church now for many, many years. Every year, the first full weekend in December, we have fiesta, La Fiesta de Tumacacori, and we just had our 40th annual. So it's been going on for a very long time. And every year we have a mass connected with the fiesta. In fact, the fiesta was predated by a mass. So that has been going on even longer than the fiesta. But this cross has been used for the mass for many, many years. And every year it is decorated by one of our cultural demonstrators. Her name is Gloria Morioki. And our cultural demonstrators are people who come and do traditional crafts. When you come here to the park, during our busy season, you should be able to find somebody either making paper flowers, as Gloria does, making tortillas. Gloria does that, but also we have a number of other ladies who make tortillas by the traditional way, just patting them, stretching them, cooking them over an open fire. We have o'otam basket makers. We have pottery demonstrations, different traditional crafts.